Hello and welcome to Tech Hub, an MSP-friendly how-to channel dedicated to Veeam-powered data protection solutions. My name is Brandon McCoy, and today I'm here to talk to you about the hows and the whys of deploying Veeam backup for AWS through the Veeam Service Provider Console. Now, Veeam backup for AWS has three deployment options. The first is you can deploy it directly from the AWS Marketplace. The second is you can deploy it and tie it into a Veeam backup and replication instance. So maybe you've already got a Veeam backup server and you're backing up virtual machines, you're backing up agents. The third option is integrating with the service provider console. So this is a good use case if maybe you don't have a Veeam backup server and you really just want an easy way to back up AWS workloads. Now you may be asking, well, if integrating it through the service provider console or directly from the marketplace for standalone, why would I just want to do directly from the marketplace rather than having the service provider console? Well, let's take a look at the three different options in a little more depth. Now, if you're familiar with the band Godsmack, you may get this reference, a big shout out. So standalone through the marketplace, here's the things that are not included. First of all, you can't use your rental licensing. So as an MSP, you can't add those licenses to your point consumption and get any additional types of discounts. The licenses are bought from the marketplace, though they're not Veeam keys. The backup copy, you cannot do any kind of backup copy job to, say, Azure or to Cloud Connect or to on-prem. There's no granular application restore. It's simply full machine restore, file and volume machine restore within and to that AWS resource. Lastly, there's no getting out of AWS, right? So what happens in the cloud stays in the cloud. And let's compare that to using a backup and replication server. Now, honestly, a backup and replication server typically is the best method. Even though today we're going to be talking about deploying it through the console, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that a backup and replication server, first of all, you can use your rental licenses. You can do a backup copy job to a different storage or different environment. You have all of the Veeam explorers like Active Directory, SQL. You've also got the ability to restore to, say, Azure, AWS, right? So I can migrate these AWS workloads. On the downside, there is an additional VM. So, you have a Windows machine running backup and replication. You may not want those extra resources. That's why doing it through the service provider console is kind of that sweet spot. So now you don't get the ability to do backup copy jobs, to do restores to different environments. However, you can use your rental licensing. You get true multi-tenancy because you can also see the other products that you're working with, and you can use your existing Veeam server because hopefully you're already using the service provider console. So that's it, just a quick slide on those different methods of deploying it. So now, again, we're going to focus on deploying it through the service provider console. So let's jump right into the lab and get started. All right, so here we are in the service provider console. I'm going to mosey on over to the configuration tab here on the top right, and then drop down to the plugin library here on the left. I'm going to search for Veeam backup for public clouds. And I'm going to start under appliances. Now you can add the account first, but there's a couple things that you need, and I just find it a little easier to do it through here. So I'm going to click New. And I'm going to say Amazon Web Services. Now, you can connect to an appliance that you've already created. So maybe you're watching this video after the fact. But if you're doing this from scratch, typically having Veeam create this appliance is the easier way. So I'm going to select so this is my Cloud Connect server that I want to use. And then I'm going to deploy a new appliance. Okay, just making sure I agree with all the licensing. So I'm going to click yes. Okay, specify AWS account to use. So if I click here, there's no account found, right? So I can add a new one here. Now, before I do that, I want to put your attention here to this bottom part. If you install the backup appliance for the first time, click the link below and accept the license agreement. So if I click this link right here, it's going to take me to AWS. I sign into my account. and I need to click continue to subscribe. So this is like a service in AWS. You just have to say, hey, add this to my account. There's no charge just for adding the subscription. It's just kind of, I guess, making the APIs or whatever it needs to do. So go ahead and click continue to subscribe. Okay, boom, we're good to go. Now I'm going to leave this open because we will come back to it in a moment. All right, so let's click new. Okay, it's asking for an access key and a secret key. And those can be found in the AWS Security Center. So let's go back to AWS. And if I come to the top right of my screen, this is my my personal account. I'm going to click the drop down and I'm going to go to your AWS console. Okay. And then I'm going to click my name again and I'm going to go to security credentials. Now you can create an account that has all of the necessary permissions. You can even specify those with like a JSON template. I'm just gonna let Veeam do all this for me. It's the easiest way. If you want to kind of pick and choose which permissions you need, you can do that as well. So I'm not creating a user just yet. I'm gonna have Veeam create that for me, and I'm just gonna create an access key from scratch here. So if I scroll down to my access keys, create an access key. Okay, just telling me some stuff about security. You can kind of read that if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste the access key. Let's put that in there. Okay, and I'm going to create my secret key, and I'll delete this once the video's over, so don't get any ideas. All right, and we'll say this is a Veeam backup for AWS. You can call that key, whatever you want. All right, so that took about 2 or 3 minutes. I've got my region already selected here. You'll have an option to choose global or GovCloud. So I'm just using a traditional region, a data center. So where is this appliance going to live? And this is an important perspective or concept rather to think about from a pricing perspective of where this is going to live, how it's going to make calls. For the demo here, I'm going to use US East, which is in North Virginia. Hopefully that works. It's okay, cool. A little mouse feedback. Okay, so cool. So we got the account added in here. Click next. We'll name this VBAWS, Veeam Backup for AWS. You can give it a description if you'd like. Okay, networking. So this is really cool. So, in Amazon, you've got a virtual private cloud, you've got your subnet, and then you've got like all your firewall rules, your inbound, outbound ports. You can go ahead and create those all if you'd like, or you can just have Veeam generate it. And guess what? I'm going to take the easy route here. Have Veeam generate all those for me. Okay, IP address. Specify IP address of the Veeam Cloud Connect server from which the appliance will be accessed, right? So again, this is not saying what is the IP address of the appliance itself. It is saying what is the IP address of the Veeam Cloud Connect server from which the appliance will be accessed. And we'll get into how that works in a little bit. A little bit of information that you need to read there. A dynamic IP address will be assigned to the appliance. You can, however, have a static IP if you'd like. Veeam will keep that information so that you're able to do a shortcut directly to that appliance whenever you need. All right, so for the account, here you'll put in a username and a password for the guest OS. I've already done that just to save a few seconds on time. I'll also need an SSH key, so I'm going to create a new key pair. And now this is different than the access key and the secret key, right? This is like a PEM key or a key pair that you'll need. So Veeam will create this for you too. I'm going to call this Veeam key pair. Real creative, right? Save a copy to my computer. That's kind of an optional thing. We'll create that. Okay. Time zone. So this is real important for things like backup tasks and making sure things are protected on a certain schedule. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that you choose the correct time. Okay. Click next. All right, make sure everything looks good and click finish. I'm going to pause the video while this generates and we'll be right back. All right, so we had our appliance up and running. I think that took about 10 or 15 minutes. Honestly, I stepped away for some coffee, but I'm fully recharged. I have my appliance set up. Now, the next thing I need to do is I need to verify the security certificate on the appliance, okay? So in order to do that, what I want to do is I want to click this and I want to click verify appliance right here. Okay, security certificate, click next. Okay, IIS credentials. So these are going to be the local admin credentials of the web UI for the service provider console. So when you created your service provider console, if you just put everything on one machine, this will be like the local admin or the domain admin credentials of the service provider console itself. Okay, so I'm going to put in those credentials. Click finish. Okay, boom, we're verified. Next thing I need to do is I need to specify a repository for my appliance to send the backups to. Now for the public cloud appliances, they're always going to back up first to their respective cloud. So in the case of AWS, that's going to be S3. I'll click new. Got my appliance here. We'll click create. So that's going to create an S3 bucket for me. Right? And so let's call this Veeam backups. Click next. Okay. So I've got the IAM role for the bucket. And again, all of these roles can have different IAM users. I'm just kind of going through the wizard and using all the default for time's sake. Okay, let's choose a bucket. Okay, so there's no buckets here. What's going on, right? Now, when I first installed this product and got to know it, I thought that Veeam was going to create a bucket for me as well. So this is one thing that you actually will need to create yourself. So let's do that too. So let's head back over to our AWS console and let's search for S3, right? So I'm going to click S3 right here. Okay, creating a bucket is pretty easy. So I'm going to click create bucket right here. We'll call this, guess what, Veeam backups. Okay, AWS region. I think I selected Virginia for my appliance, so we'll keep it all in the same region. Okay, there's some additional things here, access control lists, versioning, object lock. I'm really not going to get into those on this demo. So we're just going to create the bucket. Okay, I'm going to leave everything as default, and I'm going to click Create Bucket. Yep, so there's already a bucket name called Veeam Backups. So it's not my bucket, that's a global setting, right? So we'll call this Veeam Backups 007. See if that's clever enough. What do you know? Not a lot of secret spies out there. Okay, so I got my bucket created. Now let's go back to the service provider console and try that again. Hopefully it won't take but just a minute here. Okay, boom, there's my bucket. I'm going to select that bucket and choose a folder. Let's just create a new folder and we'll call it Veeam AWS Backups. I'll switch it up a little bit. Okay, storage class. So there's S3 Standard, Glacier, Deep Archive. These are different APIs that cost different amounts of money. You may want to look into that. The appliance will actually help you determine, but typically your standard is for like your dailies, your hourlies. Glacier is for like, your 6 months, quarterlies, yearlies. It's cheaper storage, but it costs more to retrieve it. So we'll just stick with standard. And there is the ability to make your backups immutable by checking this box here. And again, we're just going to kind of leave everything as default. So click next. All right, enable encryption. So we can do encryption at the bucket level as well. I'm just going to click next and finish. And again, all the settings that I'm doing here, I'm in no way saying that these are all the best practices and you should do all of these. I'm just trying to get you through this video to quickly show you how you can set this up. I do recommend that you take some time and learn more about object lock immutability, encryption, key management, and things like that. All right, so we've got our repository, we've got our appliance, the account was added in automatically. the guest OS for the appliance itself. I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to click Exit Configuration, and I'm going to go down to Discovery, and I should see this under Cloud Appliances. Yep, so there it is right there. Veeam backup for AWS. It's enabled. It's ready to go. Everything else, like in terms of managing jobs, doing restores, that would be done from the console, and it's outside the scope of this video. Last thing I'll tell you is that you need a license installed on your Cloud Connect server, right? So under the plugin library here, if you have your Pulse integration configured, you can do it from here. Otherwise, go to Pulse, cut a key. You need a license key, so new license here for the product Veeam Cloud Connect and Public Cloud, right? Click Next, and I'm going to add in, public cloud VMs, EC2 instances, or RDS serverless databases, or AWS file shares. So I would, create a key big enough for all those different workloads, put it on my Cloud Connect server, and now my Cloud Connect server is going to consume licensing. The management of the day-to-day will be done from the appliance, and the service provider console will allow me to get visibility. And as you can see, it was very easy to deploy that appliance and get it all set up. So that's it for this video. I hope it wasn't too long, too short. Hope it was valuable, and we appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.